reporting here from CinemaCon 2013 in Las Vegas, for opening Monday night, where Paramount Studios had the gala opening night for the presentation of for their lineup of films. One of the things that I do have to take note is CinemaCon has asked us not to review any opinions about the footage that has been seen in during the presentation, because a lot of the footage is, how can you say, is actually unfinished, even though it does look complete. So they don't want any type of negative aspect that comes out of the convention. Anyways, the very first thing that came up at the Paramount presentation, of course, is the highly anticipated Star Trek Into Darkness. The writer Damon Lindelof was sent over to CinemaCon to present Star Trek to the audiences of CinemaCon. Director J.J. Abrams was unable to make it, so Damon Lindelof read an open letter to. Actually, it's a hilarious letter from J.J. Abrams that kind of makes fun of Lindelof at the same time. Well, anyways, so during the presentation, a few cast members actually did show up at the Paramount presentation for Star Trek Into Darkness. The main actor, Chris Pine, who plays Captain Kirk, showed up. Okay, Zach Quinto, who plays Spock, showed up. John Cho showed up, and Alex Eve showed up. So they went through the Damon Lindelof played the interviewer, asking each of the persons one question about the various Star Trek activities. Particularly, they went into John Cho into the behind-the-scenes moment at Star Trek the Into Darkness. Anyways, the most important part is the 18 minutes of footage that has been revealed at Paramount Pictures. The 18 minutes of footage it's actually of various scenes. The most important one that I'll try to describe into detail for the Latino Review fans. It's the opening sequence of Star Trek Into Darkness, where it shows Bones and Captain Kirk running through, looks like a red forest, being chased by certain types of natives. Now, this red forest is pretty red, but in the background there's sort of like a volcano. The planet is identified as Nibiru, a Class M planet, and it looks like the Star Trek Enterprise crew is there to, how can you say, to save the planet from this exploding volcano. So, in an effort, the captain and Bones was there at with the natives. They stole an artifact that looks like a scroll, which they have no idea what that scroll is, and they're running through the forest. And in the meantime, in a shuttlecraft, so what you have there is Uhuru, Spock, and Sulu is actually flying into the volcano, where they're going to lower Spock into the volcano with some kind of device that could possibly stop the eruption. Anyways, so one of the things that actually happened with the shuttle is the shuttle couldn't withstand the intense heat of the volcano. As they were lowering Spock into the volcano, there was an eruption that kind of tilted the shuttle, and the rope snapped, and Spock actually flew right into the volcano, where he managed to land on a physical basically like a mound of dirt in the middle of this lava lake. So it's the images is very similar to the red poster of the lava flickering if you have seen the recent Star Trek poster of Zach Quinto as a Spock. Anyways, continuing on. In the meantime, Bones and Captain Kirk are running through the forest. Captain Kirk dropped the scroll hanging onto a tree, and all the other natives stop running and they start worshipping, bowing down in front of the scroll. Bones and Kirk then jump off into the deep ocean, where the Star Trek, the Enterprise, is actually underwater. Now, the shuttle with Sulu Uhura went back to the Enterprise, and one of the things that they wanted to do is to save Spock. So they get in an argument with Spock as Spock is trying to activate the device inside the volcano, and one of the our arguments is over the Prime Directive, and just like in the traditional Star Trek format, Captain Kirk is basically saying, screw the Prime Directive. So with that, and the reason why is because these natives are natives, they haven't seen technology and so on, and in the end, Captain Kirk decides to go ahead and save Spock. Basically flew the Enterprise out of the ocean. The natives see this huge spaceship flying across the cliff, and they teleported Spock into the ship. Now, the next scene that they actually show is they showed the character Benedict Cumberbatch's character named John Harrison, or some people rumored it to be Khan. But John Harrison, it looks like they're in some kind of hospital wing and prison type of area, where Captain Kirk basically told John Harrison that he will pay for what he actually did, but John Harrison wants John Harrison to help him first. And John Harrison responds, well, what can you give me in exchange? And Captain Kirk said, I can guarantee the safety of your crew. And Harrison looks back and said, you can't even guarantee the safety of your own crew, which is a great line. So, and then Harrison then finally agrees to Kirk to save, to do whatever mission that he actually wanted to, and then is escorted by a gang of red shirts out into the hallway. And then finally, the last scene that was portrayed during the Star Trek Into Darkness presentation was a scene where John Harrison and Captain Kirk is on the Enterprise, and Scotty, it looks like he's on a different ship, and there's a bunch of debris out in the middle of space, made possibly like some kind of previous battlefield or something. But Scotty is in another ship that could possibly be the enemy ship. And then they have the idea of going through a trash compactor where they could shoot off a couple of people in astronaut uniforms into space to shoot into the other spaceship. And Kirk and Harrison is going to be those persons that actually get to shoot off. And it's basically a flying scene of right through the debris, as debris is actually they're trying to dodge debris, and some debris is actually hitting them, and it's a very intense moment to itself, as they have to align it perfectly so that they could fly into an opening on the other ship where Scotty is there trying to set it up to open the cargo door, and they could actually fly into it. And however, some random security guard came by and tried to stop Scotty, but in the nick of time, Scotty pushes the button. The door opens. The security guard flies out, and Kirk and Harrison flies into the ship. And that's where they ended the presentation for Star Trek Into Darkness. The next presentation was entirely a big surprise, was for World War Z. This was a movie that is actually produced by Brad Pitt, based off the well-known novel. Now, what was the surprise was that they brought in Brad Pitt himself onto the stage, where he basically admitted that he made the movie because he wanted to make a movie for his own boys. And one of the things that his boys do actually enjoy is zombies. So he went ahead and made the movie, and then he presented some footages of certain scenes that you kind of have an idea from the movie trailer itself. So the first scene that was introduced was in Pennsylvania, where he's with his family inside a vehicle, and this has been seen in the trailer before, where they're playing a car game as they're stuck in traffic. However, the car's not really moving, and so on. And then all of a sudden, they just you hear some screamings, then a huge explosion, and then all of a sudden, a motorcycle cop basically ran off right beside his car and took out his side view mirror. He jumps out of the car trying to figure out, hey, what the heck is going on? And then all of a sudden, another motorcycle cop drives by and tells him, get back in your car immediately. He gets back into his car, and then a garbage truck just drives right through and basically starts tossing all these cars left and right through traffic. Looks like whoever's driving the garbage truck needed to get out of there in a hurry. And so Brad Pitt's character drove right behind the garbage truck, seeing the opportunity to get out of there. And then it started to reveal that there's a bunch of how can you say, I don't want to call them zombies, but they're basically people with rabies start running and start grabbing people and start biting into people. And there was a scene of a person who ran into the car, and one of these zombies jumped onto the hood of the car, and she used her head banging into the windshield until it basically knocked out. The guy tried to retreat. That zombie woman jumped on top of the guy and bites him. As Brad Pitt's trying to run away, he noticed that he keeps on glancing back as the guy lies dead on the floor, and then he starts to shuffle as if something else has taken over, some kind of weird virus has taken over his body, and then that innocent bystander has now become a zombie himself. Okay, that's the first scene that's actually revealed for World War Z. The second scene that was revealed for World War Z was in Israel, where it looks like a compound with a huge wall, and Brad Pitt is seen talking to someone else about a way to get into, I believe it's either India or Russia, where obviously he has some kind of mission, and he's a very important type of diplomat. So as he's there, there's a group of people, it looks like both Jews and Muslims, obviously with the apocalypse coming, everyone's now friends, and so they're all singing a song together through the loudspeaker. Okay. Now, as they were singing the song through the loudspeaker in unison, we're talking about hundreds of people. The zombies outside the walls hear this sound, and then they start charging into this made up compound city. And one of the most interesting things that they actually did was to basically compile themselves out as a mountain on top of the walls, trying to basically lift themselves up. And it wasn't until that Brad Pitt realizes, hey, wait, the sound is too loud, and they look over the wall, and they could see some of these zombies are creeping over the wall and then dropping onto the other side, landing on top of the ground, because there's no ladders, the ground on top of buildings and everything. And then now the zombies are inside that walled compound city. They used a helicopter on the other side to basically machine gun down these so-called zombies, but to no avail. It didn't quite work. In fact, the zombies even managed to take out the helicopter, which you probably also have seen in the trailer or famously on the recent World War Z poster. And then a lot of the Israel soldiers are trying to escort Brad Pitt out of the city by running through the streets of that compound city, as one by one they lose several soldiers to the invading zombie army. And then finally, the third scene that they introduced at CinemaCon was the airplane scene, where Brad Pitt and a whole bunch of other passengers are. It looks like they're traveling from one destination to another destination, which seemingly seems pretty safe. Now, what happened in that case was one of the stewardesses. She walks towards the back with a bunch of blankets, and then she hears something. It looks like in their compartment elevator, so she went ahead and opened it, and a zombie attacks her. While Brad Pitt is actually in the front of the plane, he starts to hear noises. So he walks back up, sneak into the curtains as he watch all these people are biting each other in the back of the plane. And so he quietly tells everyone to go ahead and stack a bunch of luggages. But what happened was one of the passengers accidentally dropped one of the luggage, and now all the zombies starts rushing towards the front of the plane, and there's a huge attack ensued as people start to die left and right. Looks like a female soldier, possibly one of the characters from the Israel scene. She was there. She was shaved head, and she takes out a gun and starts shooting a bunch of zombies, and manages to save Brad Pitt's life on the plane. And then she pulls out a grenade. And they were debating on what to do as they look around the scene as everyone's dying all around them. Brad Pitt takes the grenade, tosses the grenade towards the side of the plane, blows a hole, and everybody starts flying out. Anyways, so that's the second movie that Paramount actually introduced. The third one that they introduced is Pain and Gain. The lucky audiences at CinemaCon managed to watch the entire film for Michael Bay, Pain and Gain. There was a special video message from Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg, and then Michael Bay came onto the stage to introduce the film. I can't really say anything about the film at this point. I will try to review it next week. As per policy of CinemaCon, we're not allowed to reveal a lot of the screenings, but hopefully you enjoyed the detailed information that I have provided you. So until tomorrow for day 2 of CinemaCon, peace out.